G'day and welcome back to another episode of Talking Siege. We have a bunch of stuff to go through today. As always, it's going to be myself, Dev, Sky, and Cthulhu chatting about Rainbow Six and all that good stuff. Especially because we have some fun matches in the competitive scene come up in the last week or two. So we're all getting hyped up for the finals for our Pro League. So kicking it off, let's just talk about the APAC finals. It's happening in Sydney. It's the 8 best teams from the Asia Pacific region. So that's 2 from ANZ, 2 from Japan, 2 from Southeast Asia, and 2 from Korea. And they'll play in Sydney for 2 spots at the Global Finals in Tokonome. You can get your tickets on Eventbrite. It's in Sydney on October 19th to 20th. And we'll talk a bit more about that later. Talk about the teams that are going to be going there and all that kind of stuff. So, speaking of Pro League, we do have some cool stuff Cthulhu's going to take us through with the new Pro League sets that you might have seen if you've been watching the Pro League streams recently. Cthulhu, why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah. So we have the freshly released skins for four operators. So we have Warden, Nook, IQ, and Tachanka skins. That you can see all of those wonderful showcases on the screen as well. All of them are currently available, and part of the purchase does go to, I believe, the Pro League teams. Probably one of my most favorite one is the Nook one. Just how clean it looks, and just it still keeps to that topic of her being kind of sneaky. It's just extra finesse with that golden stitching to it. Up next, though, we do have, somewhat recently, a patch drop as well, which did address a couple of things, mainly the Goyo with his shields, because before, with the shields, if the shields were placed too close to the hostage, the flames from the Goyo shield or the Capital bolts could have killed the hostage. So now the fire is no more dealing damage to the hostage. So that's to prevent the team griefing towards Goyo, and as well as that, there's the the RFF. Sorry, that has been now expanded onto squad. So say one of you're in a 2 stack or 3 stack, you accidentally TK somebody, or maybe not accidentally. The whole RFF activates onto your whole squad until the person that you TK'd either forgives you or does not forgive you. So it's to essentially prevent any griefing from squads, essentially. And then there's a plethora of extra bug fixes. You can definitely go and go to rainbow6.ubisoft.com, and there's going to be all the whole patch list, essentially, of all the bugs that were fixed. And then last but not least, we have a Acer Predator challenge, ladies and gentlemen, for which you can get a really nice and shiny, almost like one of those pilot skins charms, Acer Predator logo charm if you win 10 rounds. Simple as that. Go into casual, smash it out, or just have some fun, and you get the nice shiny thing.
And chuck Bloomon in graphic settings to get that extra shiny effect.
Yes, that is a big thing. Actually, I found it from Magnet's Twitter as well. He just like, hey, if you want to see the shiny, turn on Bloom. And I just did it today, and I'm like, oh my god, this is pretty shiny. So there you go. Do make sure to turn on Bloom. Do make sure to go win 10 rounds, and you get all the goodies.
Yeah. Works as well for all the Cloud9 charm, the Fnatic charm, all those charms.
The Cloud9 charm is actually so bright as well. Jesus. But anyways, we do have a fair few things to discuss as well, esports-wise, gentlemen. Dev, why don't you walk us through that?
Yeah, sure. So for those who haven't been living under a rock, they'll know that the Pro League for ANZ finished up this week. We had a super week where we had 3 play days, 6 matches all up. And so this is the standings on screen about how it ended up. Fnatic and Wildcard, other teams going to LAN, but it was touch and go there for a little while. Fnatic, Wildcard, and Oddity were all really close in contention for those top 2 spots to go to LAN. And likewise, at the bottom, we had 3 teams, Fury, Team Sinister, and Team Cryptic, who were all on 7 points all the way up until that last play day, and so they were tied. So it was really a big battle. Everyone in the top 4 could have gone to LAN, everyone in the bottom 3 could have gotten relegated. So I guess the highlight matches, if you want to go back, you can watch them on this channel or on the twitch.tv/Rainbow6 channel, or on the R6 Esports YouTube channel. I highly recommend the Fnatic versus Wildcard game from Tuesday night, played A11. That was so good, 2 draws.
That was such a roller coaster.
Yeah, exactly. Like we've had some really good games. Another tight one from the previous week was Wildcard versus Oddity, where Oddity actually managed to get a map up. So it's been a really good season, and down to the last day, I think a really good, impressive show from Fury, who managed to beat Oddity, which unfortunately made Oddity not make it to LAN. So, yeah?
One thing that I wanted to point out, and I'm a little bit sad that wasn't also mentioned on stream. Fury, throughout the whole season, the only 2 wins were on literally the last day. So last day of first half of Pro League, it was against Fnatic. They won on Cafe. And then the last day of the second half of the Pro League, it was against Oddity as well. And talking about Oddity, Vinny is actually also in the chat. It's just typed up Pepe hands. Feels bad for the man.
Poor Vinny.
I guess another cool sort of stat is that last season as well, last Pro League season when Oddity were known as freshman class, on the very final play day, they also versed Fury, and Fury also beat them there. I think it was a draw as well as Fury won against them on one map. So that's upsetting to see.
Now that we've got all the Oddity players in chat, we're just breaking their hopes and dreams, reminding them of all these sad memories.
Giving all the PTSD.
But I mean, hats off to Fury, right? They beat Fnatic and Oddity. Out of their 3 wins in the entire season, that was 2 of them. So, massive ups to Fury for that performance. Before we dive deep into our thoughts overall on the ANZ Pro League and kind of where we're at the moment, I thought I'd bring up something that's Here's the Thing News, which is a new news platform targeting esports within ANZ. It's htt.news on www.htt.news. They've got a top 10 rankings, which the 3 of us and a couple of other local casters are helping put together. And basically, it's a top 10 at the moment of the best teams in the region with order and a bit of a paragraph about each of the teams. So I highly recommend you go to the HCT News Twitter and the website itself to look up these. But I'm going to read off the rankings, and then we're going to go into a bit of a discussion to chat about ANZ Pro League as a whole, how that affects Six Masters and everything else. So in first place on the rankings, it is Fnatic. Second, Wildcard. Third, Oddity. Fourth, Mindfreak. Fifth, Fury. Sixth, Sinister. Seventh, Cryptic. 8, Homeless, which is formerly known as Acme. 9th, AMR, which is formerly known as Rhythm. And 10 is PC419. Now, guys, we've had the Pro League for this season in ANZ finished up. We know where all the teams lie, and we've come to our rankings. I want to kick it off with, is there any kind of standout team that you think in the last few weeks has risen above your expectations?
I'd say Oddity. Honestly, because, Oddity already has been kind of on the rise, but them to take off a map of Wildcard and be like literally this close to an APAC LAN is definitely a feature and a half that they've pulled off, considering how most of the people probably perceived them in the previous, the roster itself perceived them in the previous seasons as well.
Yeah, I'd sort of go with Oddity as well. I think to, as you said, Cthulhu, take a map off Wildcard, as well as draw against them on a map is quite impressive. Again, they couldn't get it done in the final play day, but I feel like what they have sort of, managed to achieve is still quite impressive, and I think it's a testament to how much work that these guys have put in alongside their coach, Raven, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for them. I mean, if they can do that, then I think we're in for a very exciting Pro League Season 11.
Yeah, if there's anything that kind of stands out to me now that we've had a chance to see some results, the upsets like Oddity over Wildcard, and I want to credit Oddity for playing so well in that match, but also Wildcard, they didn't quite show up how we'd expected. There was a lot of pressure, and the players themselves mentioned that pressure really got to them. So I'm starting to notice a pattern. There are some teams that when the pressure is high, they tend to perform better than usual, and sometimes when the pressure is low, they perform worse than usual. And I feel like Fnatic, when the pressure is high, When the pressure is low, that's when Fnatic maybe don't get win matches. So their match against Fury, it was a low pressure, it was just a normal play day, and Fnatic maybe didn't show up as normal. But when the pressure is high, Fnatic absolutely steps up. At all the APAC finals they've attended at 6 Masters, and here on the final play day where they had to win both matches against Sinister, Fnatic's a team that always gets those victories when the pressure is high. And it seems like Wildcard and Oddity both share the opposite trait. When the pressure is up there for them and they have to win this match, that's when they tend to struggle a little bit. Wildcard lost the game to Oddity, and then Oddity lost the game to Fury. And then it's funny because Fury, every time the pressure is really high, they tend to outperform themselves. They've beaten Oddity on the final play day 2 seasons in a row, as you mentioned, Sky. And Fury, of course, also went up against Fnatic when they were absolutely unfavored in that matchup. So what do you guys think about that? Some teams perform when the pressure is higher, some teams perform when the pressure is off them.
Sky, how about you go first?
I think it's an interesting statistic to look at, isn't it? I feel like you've covered it quite well. I think that obviously each team have their own individual traits, and I completely agree that it does seem to be that way, doesn't it? Because I guess it's sort of like it's relative to all of these teams, just like in the Fury vs Oddity match. Obviously one team is fighting for LAN, which is I guess is sort of the riches, and the other is fighting for rags, in that they're just trying to stay in Pro League. Yet both of them, in terms of how they're playing, they're both playing in what really is the game of their life, even though they're sort of playing for completely different things.
Yeah, it's certainly like talking about pressure. It can be either motivational or can be completely demotivational. Like, I think it was Fnatic guys that said about that as well. That whenever they're not being looked up as the top dogs, when all the limelight is not on them, they can perform like, say, on LAN. Case in point, like, say, even that the ye-old game against EG where they've played with Dizzle, like nobody was expecting them to win, everyone was chanting for EG, and they just pulled off some nasty stuff. Same went for, I think, even with the 6 Masters, like, even though it was pretty close, like, it was somewhat even, like, on the side of odds, really. So they were able to pull things off. Whereas, like, for Fury, it appears to be somewhat same, you could say. Like, for like the match against Fnatic, they just played it out. Hey, we're just gonna do some crazy stuff, like go for very like overly aggressive peaks, go for just all sorts of strats. With Oddity, it's probably a little bit harder to read, considering that it was a closer matchup to a certain degree. But I did realize after watching that final, the Fury versus Oddity on Consulate, that it was just Fury once again just playing their type of game, that like overly aggressive pace and just pushing and trying to just poke at the spots where Oddity were not just either ready or didn't set up yet, and that was their kind of breach point. So it is an interesting statistic, and it's certainly something that can be fully discussed, like say in the scale of even this podcast. Like we would probably require to go on like a massive debate, like for, I don't know, 40 or so, or even an hour at least.
I mean, now that we've talked a bit about ANZ, I thought it'd be good to take a step back and look at APAC as a whole, because we do have the 8 teams who are qualified for the APAC finals. They'll be fighting out in October at the Sydney ESL studio for the 2 spots at the Tokoname finals. So we've talked a little bit about Fnatic and Wildcard, who are the ANZ representatives, but we also have Xavier and Airwolf from Southeast Asia, Cyclops and Noarengo from Japan, and Cloud9 and Trippy from Korea. Every time we get to an APAC finals, I feel like the level of competitiveness of our teams increases. All of these teams have more experience than the last time they were here, and all of these teams, I think we're starting to have a lot higher expectations of them. And to think that only 2 of these teams can make it to Tokoname is a really scary prospect.
It's wild, yeah.
Yeah, are there any? I want to know from your opinions, guys. Who are the underdogs coming into this match, into this event, and who are the teams which you're expecting to make it out of it? What are the popular votes, and what's potentially the black horse?
Well, before, like for the previous, say for the rally qualifiers, the Black Horse it would have been Cyclops here. But now that we saw how they play, how like their whole playstyle, they probably won't be as much of a dark horse. Probably the biggest kind of question mark for me will be Trippy, really, because they're the ones that coming out of Korea, and usually we're expecting to see Cloud9 and just some another team that will probably get knocked out really quickly. So probably my eyes will be on how Trippy will perform. Whereas on the side of who I'm expecting to come out, I mean, realistically speaking, we probably will be seeing either Fnatic Cyclops, Fnatic Nora, Airwolf potentially could actually bust out. And then there's a big question mark as well about Wildcard, because on Rally, they were actually able to finally break that curse that has been going for God knows however long. And maybe they will be able to even make it to the finals, which would be extra funny, because that would also be the return of Neofighter, but on a different roster to Japan this time. But it's a global finals this time, if that would happen, though.
I think with each iteration, we're slowly but surely like getting more LAN experience for these teams. Like every single LAN, like every team is getting +1 LAN experience, and they just keep on going. I mean, I guess although may say like now is a point in time in which these teams have had the most LAN experience that they ever have before, which obviously is pretty simple in itself. But this I think for sure is going to be the most exciting APAC LAN yet. I feel like these teams they're also skilled in their own way. Like it's almost hard to look at these teams and to say that only 2 of them can go overseas, because you've got so many contenders that I think rightfully really have a place. And I think with that, it's going to be such an exciting LAN.
Yeah, I agree with that, especially because I think a lot of people overseas look at the APAC region and they think, all right, I know Fnatic, I know Nora Rengo, and the other teams don't matter because they're never going to make it global. I mean, I feel like that could not be farther from the truth. Even if we do end up with Fnatic and Nora making it as top 2 out of this event, there's no guarantee that they're going to be... that it doesn't mean that it's a blowout and they're the 2 best teams outright in the region. We've seen how close Fnatic and Wildcard were both to not making it to this event. Both of them, if they had lost either of their matches in the last Pro League week, then they really would have been unlikely to make it to this event. If Oddity had won both, then Wildcard wouldn't have made it. If Fnatic had dropped a game, they wouldn't have made it. So I feel like we can't underestimate any one of these teams. We've got a lot of repeats teams here, like Xavier, Aerowolf, Cloud9, who have been to these APAC finals time and time again and constantly waiting for that opportunity to make top 2. And I certainly think it is time for a bit of a change, for a bit of a mix-up. Both Fnatic and Nora Rengo have had roster changes recently, and despite I think Fnatic are looking better after their roster change, it's very early days, and it's too hard to call whether one of these other teams, Aerowolf, Cyclops, Wildcard, Cloud9, could step up and take one of those top 2 spots. So I don't want to count it out. Now that we've had a bit of a chance to talk about APAC, I thought it'd be good to have an opportunity to give some spotlight to something that's been happening overseas. So the Europe, Latin America, and North American Pro Leagues have now made a return. They're back on. G2 recently from EU had a match against Team Empire, the best 2 teams in the world currently. G2 did a really good performance on Consulate. And after the match, Milos, the caster, did a bit of an interview with Pengu. So I thought it'd be interesting to go and have a look at that, because there was a lot of, I think, good things that Pengu had. So we're going to go watch that and we'll come back in a moment.
Listen, I'm taking reins here. Where was that in Raleigh? Listen, we lost the grand final. We played a phenomenal game up to that point. Do not discredit Lord Fabian, even though he isn't here. It's not okay.
I bow down. I know you can't see on the camera, but I bow down to His Excellency. Lord Fabian has definitely done the work today, and he's done so well. Now, one thing I want to talk about is in the beginning of every single round, pretty much on your attacking side, you were kind of waiting for quite a while outside of the map. Was this just expecting that Empire would go for the first move and capitalize on top? How did you predict these?
I think we have learned a lot from not just watching Empire, but playing them in Pro League. I mean, we were drawn online, then we beat them at the last, at the Invitationals. They beat us at last major. So today we had to win to take it back, right? That's only fair.
Yeah.
So we can get that final rematch at the Invitational Grand Finals once again. But why it happened is that Joystick in particular is extremely versatile on that top floor whenever they're roaming, and the last thing we want to do is lose 2 members to that. So we take it super slow, we take our time. Once they're taken rid of, we can do fine with a minute and 20 seconds left on the clock. They don't consider first floor really, they don't play bathroom. We drop down the hatches, do the vertical play, kill the Maestro Cam, set up the plan. Goka's amazing at it. So since they only have pressure on 1 floor at a time and only really 2 players, we can spend the majority of our resources, or our time at least, on droning, taking care of that element, and then we can work our way towards our third step, which is essentially planting.
Yeah. And once that's done, usually things are working out very well. There was one round where it lost for you, but that was a 4K retake. It happens every now and then to everyone. It was beautiful play. But there was one specific thing that both teams were doing quite consistently, is running the Echo at the top of those basement white stairs coming up to the staircase itself. One time, though, you all fell into the same trap and lost 2 players around that. How was the calls happening? Because I don't think it was too coordinated looking at it.
So the call came, so we droned him out first of all.
Yeah.
I think we lose Fabian, but let's not give him any more praise. He's had enough.
Yeah.
He gets, we call it banana for reference. So the spiral staircase going down is banana. We call spiral up. So banana, he's playing top banana, playing aggressively. I get the call. I say, let's ignore him. You know, it's just, he can't do anything. He can play in banana all he wants. It's just a goddamn yellow thing. And then I call out Kenzo. He has an echo drone. Kenzo then makes a call. I'm gonna push him. I'm like, bro, no.
What?
And Fabian goes, I'm gonna push him as well. And then I'm like, guys, he can't do anything from the banana. Like, there's nothing he can do there. Like, we got the lobby, we got piano. You know, we can just hold him. We got a camera. He doesn't know it. He gets 2 amazing headshots, and I kill the echo drone after Kenzo dies. Then we're like, okay, we suck, whatever, rotate, we still gotta win, and then we lose. Comes out to a 2v1, Unu's covering me, he kills the echo drone, and then the call comes that he's between the cars, but he was in fact behind the black car, not between the cars. I miss my shots, I suck, and he clutches like a god.
It happens, right? And someone has to lose at the end of a clutch, and it's usually the other team, right? So
yeah, I mean, a clutch down to its essential core is, one part is amazing play, but another part, it should never be enabled unless there's a mistake, right? And our mistake was in 3 parts. It was the first peak, then the second peak, and then I missed my shots, which I should never do, and no player should, but it happens. But yeah.
Forgivable, I want to say.
I hope so.
And lastly, when you were playing the defense on that top floor, walk me through how you were playing the Mozzie inside of Projector and just pushing yourself from one position to the next, because it's really that positioning that won you the round. Well,
we banned smoke. So we were practicing against Navi for a warm-up, and we're like, okay, let's ban smoke. And then I realized that I play smoke on that bomb side, and I went, guys, what do I play now? And then I was like, all right, guys, scratch the smoke ban. I need my smoke. I suck without it, apparently. And then we finished the scrim. You know, Navi's a good team as well, so they're really good practice for us. And then I go, guys, let's not ban the smoke, let's ban the Mozzie, because like Mozzie's annoying and I want to play smoke. And then I sat here for 10 minutes straight because there was some waiting time for the match to get hosted. And I was like, guys, listen, if you get me a shield from someone else, I can play anything else but smoke, but I need the shield. So we made that work, and the Mozzie has a C4, which is crucial to deny the balcony. That got me to kill the first round, and then it kind of just makes him cautious that I have the C4, so he can't be too aggressive into me. Although I must give praise, I don't know who was repelling that, but they played it really, really well. We made Goga run out of garage one time up the staircase, and he just completely blindsided Goga and like evaded the shots. Like, he played it really perfectly. But yeah, Mozzie, good gun, C4, drone deny. Good operator. Good operator,
to say the least. But, you know, at your victory here against your bitter rivals of Team Empire, anything you'd like to say to the G2 fans out there?
Well...
And that was the interview from Pengu. And I really enjoyed that one, especially I think the final question that he had answered about the smoke ban and about the Mozzie pick. I really like that. So if you want to watch the full interview and the match that they're talking about, head over to the R6 Esports YouTube channel or the Rainbow Six Twitch channel, and you'll find the VOD listed there, G2 versus Team Empire. But talk about Empire and G2. Sky's got a little bit of a spotlight for us on Joystick from Empire. So what you got for us, Sky?
I do, Dev. You saw absolutely nothing. I just wanted to do a quick spotlight on a cool series that I found. For some of you guys might have heard of the Score Esports. They're effectively a YouTube channel that focuses on esports content. And something that I really like about this I guess spotlight series, if you will, is they sort of make they sort of show that these pro players, they are human, or cyborg in Joystick's case. And
That
I
was a
think
good
that
one. You caught me there.
I think that is I think it's really cool that just get to know a little bit more about these pro players. They aren't just someone on the screen. They have lives, and sort of showing in this case how Joystick sort of came to be, where he sort of started in his pro esports career, and where he's at today, which is a 6 major champion. And I just there's also another one of these on Pengu, and I believe there's a few more. And I just think it's really cool to watch these and understand more about these players. And it's a great way to learn about pro players. And maybe if you're an aspiring pro player and you sort of want to learn about how to get started, or how in Joystick's case how he got started, you can sort of watch this and maybe take on some tips, some advice, and sort of, I guess, sort of kickstart your journey to wherever you want to try and get within the Rainbow Six esports scene. I guess that's sort of where I wrap it up. If you want to watch this video, you can go to the Score Esports YouTube channel, and you can watch this and so much more esports-based content, not just about Rainbow, about just sort of esports in general, and some other games. I like watching their content sort of in general to just learn more about esports and sort of how the wider esports world operates and sort of works. And I find that really interesting. So like I said, the Score Esports, go over their channel, check this video out if you want. And yeah, that's where I'll end it on this one. Moving on to the second piece of this content for me is going to be the Recon series overview. So this is an event I saw Hawk in chat earlier that is organized by Hawk. It's a Melbourne-based event hosted at the Geek Internet Cafe, which is really, really cool. Rather than Geek, the Genesis Internet Cafe. This is sort of a LAN where teams or players can learn some experience, get that grassroots experience, and I think it's really cool. A cool way to sort of get. I mean, I was just talking about it before, about how there are a lot of aspiring pro players within the community. And if being a pro player is something you want to be, you can compete at this LAN. It's in Melbourne, which is one of the, I guess, more popular cities in Australia. And obviously, a lot of LANs, as we were talking about before, are in Sydney. We did have the Six Masters in Melbourne earlier, but it's cool to see Melbourne get a little bit more love thanks to Hawk hooking us up. And I actually went to Hawk, who's a prominent member in the Rainbow Six NZ community. I'd be surprised if you didn't know who he is. He's an ESL admin, graphics guy. He does pretty much everything and anything. So I'm sure you've seen him around somewhere. I went to him. I said,
"Man's an actual legend."
He is a legend. He is a legend. He does not get enough credit, so I'm shouting him out now. I went to him and I said, "What does the Recon series hope to accomplish for the regional Rainbow Six Siege community?" And his reply was, "The ultimate vision for the Recon series is a regular grassroots tournament for the Australian Rainbow Six scene that gives the community an opportunity to both compete in a LAN environment and have the chance to meet other players and teammates within the community." So that's a really interesting piece of insight. And look, really, I couldn't say it any better myself. He really has summed up the overall, I guess, goal of the Recon series. If you want to sign up for the Recon series, I'm actually going to chuck the link in chat right now. Sign-ups are open. Like I said, it's a Melbourne-based event, so you will have to be Melbourne-based, or if you're really dedicated, you can maybe fly yourself.
A couple of people do.
They
You'd be
do.
surprised.
They do. So if you want to either come along, fly down, whatever you want, you can compete. And there is an entry fee, however, it is extremely low. It should be higher. It really should be, but I mean, it really is a bargain. Come along, compete. It's a lot of fun.
You can also just come along and experience the event if you don't want to be a competitor. Just come along to the event. It's in the heart of Melbourne, so it's quite easy to get to. Very close to the Melbourne Central train station. And also, you know, Sky, you're mentioning about people who are aspiring to be pro players. You don't have to be a pro player to come play at these events. You don't have to be, you know, at the peak of your skill level. You can just come along and have some fun and play some games, because I really got to say, it's something different to be playing this game that I love so much, sitting next to my friends in real life, and you can turn to them and look them in the eyes and fist pump and all that kind of stuff, even if you're just playing some casual, playing some ranked. So I highly recommend coming along, even if you aren't, you know, at the apex of your skill in Rainbow.
Indeed. So, like I said, the link is in chat. If you guys want to sign up, go sign up. Nevertheless, we're going to now transfer on to the top pick section of the week. We have got Cthulhu with a very loud clip.
It's loud for a few reasons, but it's very much comical. Magnet does pretty much a thing where it's essentially just compilation. Like, you know how people do compilation of kills? He does compilation of just yells and screams. So please do enjoy. Dev, just make sure to have it a little bit turned down. But
it's already pretty low. Alright, from watching it beforehand. Alright, here we go.
Lost, you're the best. Touch it dead. Listen, touch it. Lost, see! No, we need that NCS. Oh! Sorry. I attacked that way! No way, I just shot that! Ah! Oh, it's his gun! Ah! What the f- What? Ah! Lusty! You suck! I don't remember which one you hit. What? Hello? What? I can't even say. What? Ah! Got him. Maji? Ping! Are you serious? What the f? Oh! Oh! I thought I killed him! He was there. Why did I click it?
And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Magnet, honestly, probably one of the most enjoyable contents that I could have found within the NZ community to date. So definitely do check it out. I believe that he does have it on his Twitter, as well as there's a YouTube channel. So it's all they're all condensed and nicely packed up. But how about you guys? How about you, Sky? What do you have for tonight?
Yeah, so we've always heard the ANZ Pro League casters joke on broadcast about battle bots and drones fighting it out, and I've now actually found this in real time visualized. So Dev, if you want to play the clip, you can see two Twitch drones fighting it out, one versus the other. It's pretty insane here. Both of them, one is Mozzie, one is not, and it's pretty tense. I'm not gonna lie. You see, he aggresses up, misses the first shot, hits the second. It's pretty insane stuff. And I mean, 1 year ago, would we have ever expected to see this in Siege?
I mean, for a long time we've talked about, you know, Echo drones versus Twitch drones, but this is a new level. And I think I've seen a clip from Imorin, who's one of the wildcard pro players. He got a kill with a Twitch drone as Mozzie onto Twitch, and I feel like there could not be any more irony and I love the kinds of creativity that Mozzie can bring a little bit of fun if you do manage to snag a Twitch drone.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's a short and simple clip. I thought it was pretty cool. We're gonna move now to Dev's host pick of the week.
Yeah. So I just wanted to highlight one of my favorite YouTubers. It's Rogue9, and we talked about him a lot before. We actually had him on the podcast about a year ago, I think it was. So he makes regular videos where he talks about all the various weapons in Rainbow Six, and he started a series where he really delves deep into, I guess, some of the more complicated things that are much more difficult to just understand at face value. So he has this really great video that he released recently on shotguns and how the shotguns have changed recently in Rainbow Six. Long story short, the accuracy, so the grouping of the shots, overall, the average maximum circle is still the same, but more of your shots on the random pattern do tend to land closer to the center. So he has this video where he explains his testing methodology. He shows you all the stats. He gives a lot of analysis and advice into how to use the different shotguns and such. So yeah, I mean, I cannot recommend Rogue 9 enough. If you want to learn more about his content, just type in Rogue 9 into YouTube, even Google. You'll find him. He's everywhere. He's got Instagram. He's got everything. So yeah, highly recommend go and check out that content. And embrace the shotgun meta. Do it. Love to see it. I want to see some shotgun Jaeger. I love all that stuff. So yeah, it's my favorite kind of stuff. Something that we didn't talk about yet was the 6 Invitational dates being announced. So I'm just going to quickly grab that up.
Also, I guess while you're grabbing that up, I just wanted to bring something up. It's our 2-year anniversary, guys. We've been doing this for 2 years, which is pretty crazy. Big hype. I mean, I think we mentioned we had our 50th episode not too long ago, and that's actually our pinned tweet on Twitter. So if you want to watch that and get some nostalgia, you could go to @TalkingSiege. But yeah, I mean, we've been doing it for a while. We're having a lot of fun, and yeah, here's to the next 2 years, hopefully.
Yep, and I'm struggling to find this article for some reason. So yeah, 6 Invitational is coming in 2020 in February. I can't remember the date off the top of my head, but I'm looking forward at the moment, and I may well find it. But everything on Google is outdated, and so yeah, never mind. Go and look for 6 Invitational 2020 date's been announced. I saw someone talk about it in chat anywhere. If anyone does know the date off the top of their head, please just dump it in the chat. Yeah, I mean, 6 Invitational is the biggest event of every year for Rainbow Six, so it's absolutely the thing that you want to be a part of. And maybe you can't get to 6 Invitational, you want to get something a little bit closer to home. In Australia, I highly recommend heading along to the APAC finals. It is a massive LAN event that we have for every Pro League season. The top 8 teams from Asia Pacific, 2 from ANZ, 2 from Japan, 2 from Korea, and 2 from Southeast Asia. Tickets are dirt cheap, $20, and you get to see this huge 2-day LAN event. I know, $20 is nothing for an experience like this. So Feb 14th to 16th is the Invitational. Thank you very much, Pseudoscopic in chat. So APAC finals, if you live in or around Sydney, or if you live in Australia and you're willing to fly in or travel to Sydney for it, I highly recommend it. APAC finals 2016, season 6, 2017 was my very first esports event. I think it was the same for all of us. It was our first esports event, and that experience really changed my life. I know it sounds a bit dramatic, but it did really change a lot. So I highly recommend, if you can make it, head along. It's really dirt cheap. It's on the 19th and 20th of October, and well worth heading along to. But that's all for the show tonight. I hope everyone has enjoyed the show and enjoyed hearing about the Pro League updates and everything like that. If you're just tuning in now, you missed the rest of the episode, you can head along to the twitch.tv/Rainbow6ANZ or the Rainbow Six ANZ YouTube channel, and you'll be able to watch the full episode recording after the episode ends. And of course, you'll also be able to catch us on your favorite podcasting platforms in the next few days once we get it uploaded there, if you prefer the audio version. But that's all for the show tonight. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and we'll be back next week, every Monday here, same time, 8 p.m. Sydney/Melbourne time, which is AEST. Currently, Daylight Savings is coming up soon. We'll stay... In terms of the timing change, we'll keep you updated on that, but we're probably just going to stay on the Sydney and Melbourne time. So yeah, stay tuned for Daylight Savings. But anyhow, hope you enjoyed the episode tonight, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.